This was a very unique beer, I thought. So unique, in fact, it's called soda. This is Spezi, and it's a very popular soft drink here in Bavaria. Which probably explains why I saw so many school children drinking this at the playground. Anyway, I feel a bit foolish now thinking that this was a beer. But I had no idea. I was brand new here. Plus, you know, it is made by a brewery. I'm telling this to you now because last month I hosted some friends and family from America. Some of whom had never been to Germany before, let alone Munich. And I noticed a few things that caught them off guard. Learning the new rules of a country is challenging, especially so in Germany. Not because they are so numerous, but because people actually follow them. As my friend Milton described it on his last visit, social reinforcement learning. When you see everyone else waiting to cross an empty street, it makes you think twice. Mostly. I thought that was a really neat way to explain it, and nowhere was that better on display than out on the road. My first time ever out on the Autobahn was totally surreal. Road signs were from the future. Trucks stayed in their lane. People moved over after passing. And there was no speed limit on quieter sections. I couldn't explain exactly what it was about the German Autobahn, but it was very, very different than the highways I grew up with. A country with 50 different sets of rules for the road. Which Milton and I agreed that was probably the reason why it worked so well here in Germany, and also why it would probably never work in the States. It's one of the things I miss about Germany every time I leave. Well, that and the beer culture. Fair warning to anyone who visits me, I will take you to a beer garden, probably before anywhere else. They're an iconic part of traditional Bavarian culture, and they can be quite magical places. But there are a few things that seem to confuse my guests. Hey buddy, this seat taken? Thanks. Yeah, I'm Tony, how you doing? Yeah. Yeah, that stuff goes down like water. That's so fresh. Oh, hey, tell me this, buddy. What is this thing for?
Das ist für die Rückgabe.
Oh, yeah, you know, I'm not really into German food, so that's alright. Man, you Germans, you can really hold your beer. Yes? I hold it correctly? By far the biggest unexpected challenge that my guests faced while they were visiting me here was one that I didn't anticipate. And it's definitely my fault for giving them a false impression, maybe about life here. When I lived in Italy, about 1 in 10 people could speak English, about 13% of the population. And there I did think communication was very challenging if you didn't speak Italian. But when I moved to Germany, where it's closer to 1 out of every 2 people speaks English, I thought it was so easy to communicate. Plus, I had been studying German for a few years on and off, and I had a basic understanding. So I never really think of German as a challenge living here. However, someone who's never spoken a word of German and doesn't know any phrases, it could be a little bit more challenging than I thought. And one example of this was I remember I was at a beer garden and I kept ordering this dish, and my dad kept asking me, when are they going to bring you that hummus? And I was like, hummus? You mean pommes? So anyway, it was a bit more of a challenge. I was with them, my family anyway, for most of the time that they were here, so it wasn't really an issue. But when they would go off on their own and try and order something at the bakery where nobody speaks English, it was a little bit more challenging. But they figured it out. They managed. My advice for anyone who wants to come here, absolutely come here. Don't let German scare you, but it might be a good idea to spend maybe a few weeks, a month on Duolingo and just learn the real basics to get around. And that probably would serve you really well. Anyway, if you've made it all the way to the end, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys soon.